Part 77. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 761. Chapter 761 Choosing between saving Rong Ci and betraying the organization. Su Ji remained silent the whole time, with his head lowered and a stubborn look. He didn't know whether he was thinking about it or deliberately stalling for time with Yu Lingfeng. Could it be that she also called someone else? By the way, if you keep delaying, the situation in Rongkai will only get worse and worse. As expected, as soon as Yu Lingfeng finished speaking, Su Ji immediately raised his head and stared at Yu Lingfeng with a trepidation. What did you do to him? Where is he? If you don't answer my question, I won't answer your question either. Yu Lingfeng's face was calm. Despicable. Su Ji cursed in a low voice. You have no other choice. We are still playing with your little bugs. I think that without the bugs, you don't have much capital to fight with us. Yu Lingfeng's words were sharp, forcing Su Ji to tell everything. Our master doesn't like kind-hearted people who kill people without blinking an eye. You have to think carefully. If you hesitate any longer, your words will be. 11 Ju added something behind him at this time. Although the first half of the sentence made Yu Lingfeng feel weird, the second half clearly had a good shock effect, and Su Ji had already begun to waver. His lips were bitten until they turned white, and his hands were clenched and trembling slightly. After a long time, Su Ji finally chose between saving Rong Ci and betraying the organization. Dealing with Xia Ying and Jun Chenai is an order from above. No one knows the specific purpose. We are all just puppets who carry out the orders. We have never seen who the above is. Su Ji's voice had an imperceptible vibrato. Every word she spoke seemed to be speaking with her last breath, and she was breathing heavily. Don't know the purpose, don't know who the leader is. Yu Lingfeng was a little skeptical. Have no idea. Su Ji shook his head and looked at Yu Lingfeng firmly. We are just given tasks periodically. Then why do you want to work for that organization? Yu Lingfeng was puzzled. Since he didn't even have a common goal and didn't even know who he was working for, wouldn't he be like a headless fly? How does such an organization cultivate loyalty? It fails its mission and faces the danger of death. What beliefs does this organization rely on to allow everyone to persist until now? Su Ji looked at Yu Lingfeng angrily, gritted his teeth and said, You only asked me to answer 3 questions. Yu Lingfeng was helpless. Indeed, she was very smart. However, Yu Lingfeng did not expect that no practical conclusions could be drawn from these 3 questions. The answers to none of the questions were clear, they were also vague. 11 Ju, bring Rong Ci here. Yu Lingfeng turned and looked at 11 Ju. Zihu was confused. Master, let them go like this. Yes, this is a serial murderer. Police officer Song said excitedly, and he couldn't hold himself back anymore and was about to draw his gun. Song Yang. Yu Lingfeng called Officer Song coldly. Officer Song sighed angrily and finally put away his gun helplessly. His life was given by Yu Lingfeng, so he had no reason not to listen to him. Seeing that Officer Song had surrendered, Zihu had nothing to hold on to, so he turned around to carry Rong Ci, who was still in a comatose state. Since I promised you, I will definitely let you go today, but if you are caught next time, I will not show mercy. Yu Lingfeng said to Su Ji with an indifferent expression. Recently Xiao is preparing for the final exam and is very busy. She really doesn't have time to type during the day, so the update time has been changed to after 10 o'clock in the evening. I'm sorry, little cuties, you can find a specific time the next day to read the previous day's update. No stay up late mmm. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 762. Chapter 762 Even if you are betrayed, you still can't forget it. Su Ji lowered her head and said nothing. She was thinking about the origins of Yu Lingfeng and 11 Ju. Normal people would be scared out of their wits when they saw her goo. Moreover, the mucus on her three-eyed goo was extremely poisonous, but Yu Lingfeng was able to kill it so easily without any trouble. Yu Lingfeng is really not a simple person. 11 Ju walked towards Su Ji carrying the unconscious Rong Si on his back. After Su Ji saw Rong Si, she threw all her thoughts aside. When she saw Rong Si's appearance, she immediately became nervous. She turned around and asked Yu Lingfeng, "What's wrong with Rong Si? What did you do to him?" "What? He's fine." Yu Lingfeng Jiun replied calmly, then walked up to 11 Ju and pinched Rong Si, who suddenly woke up. Because he had been asleep for too long, Rong Si's eyes had not had time to adapt to the surrounding light, so he frowned for a long time before gradually regaining consciousness. Rong Si looked at the unfamiliar environment around him. Where was he? Inside a cave? Why are Yu Lingfeng, 11 Ju, Officer Song, and Su Ji all here? Also, why is he lying on 11 Ju's back? And they were all staring at him. What happened? Rong Si got off 11 Ju's back and looked at everyone in confusion. What are you doing? What's wrong with me? Why does he feel sore all over? His stomach is empty, and he is very hungry and uncomfortable. Isn't he packing his things at home to go to the United States? Why did you come here? Correct. Rong Si suddenly remembered that someone had entered his home that day. Before he had time to see who it was, he felt as if he had been knocked unconscious with a stick. Rong Si, who gradually remembered, rubbed his sore temples, looked at Yu Lingfeng, and asked, "Did you hit me?" Yu Lingfeng admitted it without hesitation. What exactly is going on? Yu Lingfeng knocked him out and then brought him here for what? Why is Su Ji here? What are they doing? It's nothing, you and Su Ji can leave. Yu Lingfeng's tone was calm. At this time, just when Rong Si was about to say something more, Su Ji suddenly ran towards Rong Si, fell into Rong Si's arms, hugged him, and held him tightly, as if he let go as if Rong Si would leave. Su Ji buried her face in Rong Si's chest, her eyes instantly turned red. "You're okay, great, you're okay." Rong Si was confused. He looked down at Su Ji in his arms, not knowing what to say. It's great that he's fine? Should something happen to him? Rong Si looked at Yu Lingfeng in confusion, but Yu Lingfeng just pointed at Su Ji, then signaled to Officer Song and 11 Ju, and they left quietly. Sanskrit sound, what's wrong? Rong Si's voice was very gentle, and she asked Su Ji in a low voice. The end of Su Ji's words had a heavy cry, as if she was worried about him. No, what on earth is going on? Why didn't anyone tell him the whole story? Don't cry yet, can you tell me what happened? Rong Si felt the trembling of the woman in his arms and thought she was crying. In fact, she was about to burst into tears, but she endured it without being too embarrassed. Obviously she hated this person so much before, she used to trust him and rely on him so much, but when she needed help the most, he chose to stand on the opposite side of her. She thought she had hated him for so many years, but in the end she just missed him for so many years. Even if she was betrayed, she still couldn't forget him. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 763. Chapter 763 Rong Si, do you like me? Su Ji did not let sadness dominate her reason for too long. Soon, her hand holding Rong Si relaxed, and her face returned to its usual indifference, without any unnecessary impurities. She was really out of control just now. She shouldn't have treated Rong Si like this. Even though she did still have an attachment to him in her heart, she shouldn't have shown it. The rationality and calmness she had been trained to possess were all gone into thin air after meeting Rong Ci, disappearing into the boundless boundaries of time. Rong Kai looked at Su Ji with confusion. Su Ji's face was particularly calm now, as if the person who cried just now was not her. What happened? Rong Ci kept asking this question, but Su Ji never answered him. Seeing Su Ji's red eyes, Rong Ci felt very uncomfortable. Did Yu Lingfeng and the others want to hurt me just now? Rong Ci then asked, otherwise why would Yu Lingfeng knock him out and bring him here, and Su Ji just said that it was great that he was fine. There's nothing going on, let's go back. Su Ji had a cold face and was unwilling to dwell on this issue with Rong Ci. Along the way, Su Ji didn't speak to Rong Ci anymore. No matter what questions Rong Ci asked, Su Ji either remained silent or said he didn't know, and that it was over. Rong Ci gradually stopped asking any more questions. Arriving at the door of Rong Ci's house, Su Ji was about to leave, but Rong Ci stopped her. Su Ji, I have something to tell you, can we have a chat? Rong Ci held his breath and said to Su Ji. He has always had too many things to say to her, and he hasn't even said sorry to her yet. Maybe Su Ji has forgotten it, but for so many years, Rong Ci has been silently condemning himself in his heart. Why did Xiao Ji at that time, when so many people suspected that Su Ji committed the murder, he was not brave enough to stand in front of the helpless girl and tell the world that he believed her and that she was not a murderer? Just like what he had always done, he would always stand in front of Su Ji. Su Ji glanced at Rong Ci indifferently, but Rong Ci could see other emotions from that glance. Rong Ci's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad feeling. Su Ji pursed her lips and said nothing. She just looked at Rong Ci quietly, trying not to let her tears fall. She will never see Rong Ci again. This is the last time she sees her. She has revealed the secrets of the organization and she will not live long. Immediately, after leaving Rong Kai, Su Ji was going to die. Before the last mission, he was able to see Rong Ci again and even save Rong Ci with his own life. For Su Ji, this was already very satisfying. She always remembered Rong Ci's kindness to her. Although he had betrayed her, in the end, what Su Ji remembered most clearly was the things Rong Ci did to protect her. Su Ji's gloomy childhood experience originally made her lose hope in life. It wasn't until she met Rong Ci, a boy as beautiful and dazzling as light, who walked into her originally riddled heart, that she gradually became willing to live. When Su Ji was dying, her only wish was that Rong Ci could remember her forever. Rong Kai, do you like me? When Su Ji asked this question, Rong Ci froze on the spot. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but his throat seemed to be blocked by a steel needle and he could no longer say anything. Any character comes out. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 764. Chapter 764. Is it worth dying for him? Su Ji didn't wait for the answer for too long, because she knew that if she liked her, Rong Ci would definitely say it without hesitation, but his hesitation meant that he didn't like her at all. But it doesn't matter, she never expected to express her love for him in the first place, and her bright and brilliant life should not have added such a heavy and dark touch to him. Rong Ci should like girls who are brighter and more beautiful, not people like her who live in the depths of hell. Su Ji stepped forward, hugged Rong Ci gently, and said in his ear with a faint sound of airflow. Rong Kai, goodbye. Never seen again. Su Ji let go of Rong Ci, raised the corners of his mouth, arched his eyebrows, and revealed a most beautiful smile. That smile made Rong Ci seem to see Su Ji when he was a child. At that time, Su Ji also smiled at him like this. Such a smile stung Rong Ci's eyes. Until Su Ji walked away from Rong Ci's side, Rong Ci did not say the words he liked in his throat. Rong Ci's eyes gradually began to turn red, and his nose felt as sour as if it had been soaked in lemon water. Rong Ci lowered his head and let tears well up in his eyes. How could he not like her? It's just that Rong Ci felt that he couldn't really like her like this. No matter how much he liked her, he still betrayed her. Rong Ci felt even more guilty when he saw Suji. If she and those people hadn't forced Suji away, she wouldn't have been able to wander outside for so many years and return to the miserable starting point before meeting Rong Ci. Suji once again found the man in black from before. In the dim light, he lowered his head and told what he had done. She came to die. She violated the order of the organization. She must die. Even if she hid in the ends of the earth, she would not be able to hide from this group of terrible people. Suji knew this better than anyone else. Because the number of fleeing people who died in her hands was countless. For a man, you are actually willing to give up your life, Fanyan, are you confused? He knew that Suji would betray the organization one day for that man, but he didn't expect that day to come so quickly. I know that I betrayed organizational discipline, so I am willing to die. The man listened to Suji's words without any warmth, but was deeply hurt by her. He and Suji have been together day and night for so many years, been through life and death so many times, performed so many missions, and he has confessed his love to Suji countless times, but the result every time was rejection. He even later thought that Suji was asexual, but until that man appeared, he didn't know that Suji had been hiding such a person in his heart for so many years. Is it worth sacrificing her life for just such a person? And that person knew nothing about it at all. He loved Suji so much, but he wanted to end Suji's life with his own hands. How could he do it? I won't kill you. Suji looked up at him in confusion. Why? Do it yourself. He took out a pill from his pocket and said to Suji, the superiors already know what you have done, and this pill was sent here. Suji took the pill. She was a goo insect practitioner and was very knowledgeable about poisons. She didn't need to do any research to know how toxic the pill in front of her was. Maybe she would be tortured if she ate it? He was so miserable that he just turned to death. But even so, Suji still put the medicine into his mouth without blinking. The man in black couldn't stand it for a long time. He didn't want to see the person he liked die in front of him, so he left quickly. He had just taken a few steps when Suji's tragic scream came from behind. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 765. Chapter 765 Suji dropped out of school. Suji dropped out of school. No one thought that Suji was the goddess-level figure that the boys at Imperial University had dreamed of for more than a year. However, without any warning or reason, Suji dropped out of school quietly. Suji's departure caused ripples to the campus life that had been peaceful for a while. Goddess Suji dropped out of school, why? Please tell me why I dropped out of school. I came to Taito University because of Suji. Suji is my goddess and my belief. It's almost the end of the semester and she's gone. I guess I'm going to fail the exam. Where has Suji gone? Does anyone know? I haven't mustered up the courage to confess to the goddess yet. Why did she leave? Protect our goddess Xiaoying, goddess Xiaoying, don't drop out of school. Xiaoying looked at the wailing in the post bar, then turned her head and looked at Suji's empty bed. She didn't know why, but she suddenly felt strange in her heart. At this time, a piece of news from Jianyin's broke Xiaoying's thinking. Let me listen to the music I just practiced. Xiaoying clicked on the video sent by Jianyin's. It was Jianyin's without makeup, wearing a low baseball cap, sitting on a high chair, playing the guitar and singing a famous love song a cappella. Jianyin's is very malleable. After several months of training, his voice condition has obviously improved a lot compared to the initial stage. At the beginning, Jianyin's just had a good uncivilized voice, but he didn't know how to pronounce his voice and couldn't choose songs for himself. In addition, his voice was hoarse, so he created a kind of the impression that I can't sing and my singing is difficult to listen to. Very nice. Xia Ying typed on the keyboard and replied to Qianyin's. Qianyin's was in a good mood after receiving Xia Ying's affirmative reply, and then sent a message. When can I make my debut? Qianyin's has always wanted to ask this question. The sooner he debuts, the sooner he can make money and pay off his family's debts. Hold on. Xia Ying then returned, too many seniors in the music industry have released new songs recently. It is not a good time to debut at this time. Oh well. Although Qianyin's felt uncomfortable, he still accepted it. Xia Ying's goal is to hope that Qianyin's can become popular as soon as she debuts. Although Qianyin's has already harvested a large number of fans on the internet with her good looks, but those fans are only superficial and not strong. They can only with real strength can they become true fans. After all, after Qianyin's male lead role was withdrawn some time ago, it triggered a craze on the internet to blackmail Qianyin's. They say he is a vase, just with a face and no works. Of course, netizens are also questioning Xia Ying's ability to see people. Everyone doesn't understand why Xia Ying signed a contract with Qianyin's. After several months, she still doesn't have any works. She just posts some hard photos on Weibo regularly to maintain her appearance, but she has to admit that it is. Qianyin's is indeed good looking. Even with just this face, he has instantly surpassed a large number of people in the entertainment industry. The number of comments and likes on Weibo starts at hundreds of thousands. Just as Xia Ying was about to put down her phone, Yu Lingfeng called Xia Ying. Do you have time? Go to the United States. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 766. Chapter 766. Jun Chennai is about to be discharged from the hospital. Xia Ying was shocked when she heard this and quickly asked Yu Lingfeng, what happened? You come out and I will tell you slowly. Good. Xia Ying quickly changed her clothes and went out. As soon as Xia Ying came to the door, she saw Yu Lingfeng standing in front of the door, looking cold and decisive. After listening to Xia Ying's words, Yu Lingfeng conscientiously wore a mask every time he came to their school, covering himself tightly and trying not to reveal his face. Xia Ying walked towards Yu Lingfeng. Are you leaving now? Yu Lingfeng nodded and looked down at Xia Ying. The weather was getting colder, but the clothes Xia Ying was wearing were very thin. Yu Lingfeng frowned. Why don't you wear more clothes? He said reproachfully. Tone. I just turned on the heater in the dormitory, so. Before Xia Ying finished speaking, Yu Lingfeng had already taken off his windbreaker and put it on Xia Ying's shoulders. Then he grabbed Xia Ying's warm little hand and warmed it in his own palm. Xia Ying's face gradually began to heat up, and she walked with Yu Lingfeng on campus under the strange eyes of everyone. The fact that Xia Ying has a mysterious boyfriend is well known in Taito University. After all, Xia Ying is a celebrity, and because she is good looking and is praised as the school beauty, she has always attracted everyone's attention. Yu Lingfeng came to Xia Ying several times, but everyone noticed him. However, Yu Lingfeng never showed his face, so everyone was always guessing about his appearance. Although Yu Lingfeng has never shown his face, even though he is wearing a mask, the pair of deep and charming eyes exposed make the girls exclaim that he is so handsome. Everyone has always wanted to know what kind of boy could capture the talented and handsome Xia Ying. Unfortunately, Yu Lingfeng didn't show up, so he could only keep everyone thinking about it. Xia Ying was wearing Yu Lingfeng's large-sized trench coat. Originally, the clothing on Yu Lingfeng only reached her thighs, but on Xia Ying's body, It covered Xia Ying below her knees. The weather in the imperial capital is already very cold in early winter, but Xia Ying has never been used to wearing too much in winter. Today, she was only wearing a knitted jacket and a cotton skirt, with bare legs and a pair of short boots. After putting on Yu Lingfeng's jacket, the oversized style actually has a unique charm. Wow, look, it's Xia Ying and her mysterious boyfriend. It's so sweet. The clothes Xia Ying is wearing belong to her boyfriend, right? He is still helping Xia Ying warm her hands. Alas, I used to be a fan of the chivalrous couple on Weibo. It was only when I got to college that I found out that Xia Ying already had a boyfriend. I really feel sorry for the fans of the chivalrous couple online. Speaking of the chivalrous couple, I had a crush on them before, but after young Master Jun's accident, alas, I don't know how young Master Jun is doing now. Am I the only one who realizes that Xia Ying's mysterious boyfriend looks handsome even if he wears a mask? Damn it, I'm inexplicably fascinated by his eyes, they're poisonous. Hey, let's shake hands. I feel the same way. I feel like Xia Ying's boyfriend is no worse than Mr. Jun. People around were talking in low voices. Yu Lingfeng remained silent the whole time. Xia Ying turned her head, looked at Yu Lingfeng, and asked, "What's going on over there with Jun Chennai?" Rong Si said that Jun Chennai is going to be discharged from the hospital. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 767. Chapter 767. The former Jun Chennai is dead. Jun Chennai was injured and hospitalized for so long, and he was finally fully recovered and discharged. But, what will Jun Chennai do after being discharged from the hospital? I will definitely not enter the entertainment industry. After all, now, his face has been ruined. Then, are you going to help him? The people of the Jun family don't care about Jun Chennai much now. Jun Chennai no longer poses any threat to them. So now, Jun Chennai's situation is safe. They can restore his face, but they can't let it go. Everyone knows it. Have you found the person who hurt Jun Chennai? Xia Ying asked again. Yu Lingfeng said before that the witch confessed that the person who hurt Jun Chennai was also someone from their organization, which means that someone from the Jun family is probably the unseen leader of the Shadow Hunters. How deep does one have to hide to be able to dominate the mall openly while secretly controlling a top-notch organization like the Shadow Hunters? And everyone is loyal to this organization without any second thoughts. Rong Si has been following and investigating, but the strange thing is that both Jun Xianyun and Jun Liang are targets of suspicion, but Rong Si didn't find anything wrong with them. Could it be said that it is not actually them? So if not them, who would it be? Who would do something that has nothing to do with self-interest? What about the rest? Rong Si is currently investigating. Yu Lingfeng's tone was calm. Xia Ying lowered her head and did not continue to ask. She just vaguely felt that the affairs of the Jun family seemed to be becoming more and more difficult to figure out. What exactly do the people behind the scenes plan to do? If you want to get the position of heir, why do you want to attack her? There is no direct connection between her and Jun Chennai. Can't figure it out. Jun Chennai's side. Jun Chennai's discharge procedures have been completed. Jun's parents and Rong Si are still there. Jun Chennai changed into casual clothes. When he walked out of the hospital, he took a deep breath of the air outside. Sure enough, there was no disinfectant. The air is so sweet. Jun Chennai wore a special mask that covered his face, leaving only two eyes. Jun Chennai even joked, "Do you think I look like Mr. R?" When Jun Chennai said this, he raised the black ribbon on his wrist and looked at Rong Si. The black ribbon belongs to Mr. R. Once upon a time, the top figure in the music industry also wore a mask and a black ribbon, and received all the spotlights. The music stars at that time were not worth mentioning under the background of Mr. R. Some of them were. As long as he is there will always be myths. Rong Si showed a slightly bitter smile, nodded, and looked at Jun Chennai. He thought he had lost his memory and could not remember anything. Unfortunately, the moment he heard his old music, he awakened his dream again. He once said that he wanted to be a man like Mr. R. Now that he doesn't have to inherit any royal family, he can just do it. From today on, Jun Chennai is dead, and now I am Mr. J. Jun Chennai stretched out his arms, closed his eyes, looked up at the sky and said, "Just Injun." At this time, a childish voice came. Jun Chennai opened his eyes and looked forward. Not far ahead, there was a family of three, a little girl in a red coat, holding a bouquet of flowers, looking at Jun Chennai with a sweet smile. Seeing Jun Chennai looking at her, the girl ran towards Jun Chennai holding the flowers. "Come over." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 768. Chapter 768 I will marry you when I grow up. Looking at the girl's bright smile, Jun Chennai also smiled in a good mood, leaned down, stretched out his arms, and waited for the girl's arrival. That girl was the young actor Jun Chennai saved the day he had an accident. Because she learned that Jun Chennai was discharged from the hospital today, she came over to see him. While Jun Chennai was hospitalized, the little girl often came to see him. Without Jun Chennai, the little girl probably wouldn't have survived that day. In the little girl's innocent world, Jun Chennai was her superhero. The girl fell into Jun Chennai's arms, hugged Jun Chennai's neck, kissed Jun Chennai's face, and said, "Love you, Jun." Jun Chennai looked at the girl's sparkling eyes, smiled lightly, and said to her in English, "Goodbye, by fate. You have to wait until I grow up. When I grow up, I will marry you." Jun Chennai was stunned, but the little girl spoke very seriously, with a serious look on her face. The little girl knew that Jun Chennai had been disfigured to save her. Jun Chennai, the charming prince in the eyes of millions of girls, had been disfigured to save her. The little girl felt guilty, so she simply thought that she would marry Jun Chen when she grew up. Yee. It's just that she hopes Jun Chennai won't dislike her for being too young. Jun Chennai smiled after a while and said, "You will meet your true Mr. Right." After Jun Chennai finished speaking, he reached out and touched the little girl's head. The little girl looked at Jun Chennai stubbornly, biting her lip, and did not continue speaking, but she always held firm to this belief in her heart. She is 11 years old this year and Jun Chennai is 19. Jun Chennai only needs to wait for her for another 7 years. "Do you remember my name?" The little girl thought for a while and asked Jun Chennai again. "Christina." Jun Chennai blurted out. "Then always remember it." The little girl looked up and smiled at Jun Chennai as if she was very satisfied. Jun Chennai said nothing, just watched the little girl being taken away by her parents. Jun Chennai turned around and asked Rong Si, "Didn't Xia Ying and the others say they were coming?" "We're on the road, let's go home first and then talk." "Good." Jun Chennai nodded, then sat in the car, staring at the window in a daze the whole way. After returning home, the doorbell rang not long after, and the maid went to open the door. Xia Ying, Yu Lingfeng, 11 Ju, and Chu Shenxiu all came over. "Jun Chennai, are you finally willing to leave the hospital?" As soon as Chu Shenxiu arrived, he got into a fight with Jun Chennai. Jun Chennai smiled, "Long time no see, your gaming skills seem to have dropped a lot. I haven't played games for so long and have lost my memory. I KO you in 5 minutes. Chu Shenxiu was so angry at Jun Chennai, "You still remember playing games after losing your memory? Then what did you forget?" Chu Shenxiu sat down on the sofa angrily. If he had known that the last time he came to visit Jun Chennai, he wouldn't have dragged him into a game. Maybe this guy would have forgotten about playing games now. It's just that he was curious about whether Jun Chennai had forgotten how to play games after losing his memory, so he lured him into the trap again. Unexpectedly, This guy's gaming skills were still top-notch. Chu Sensio felt that he had shot himself in the foot. Originally, he was planning to torture Jun Chennai while he lost his memory, but he miscalculated. I forgot you were a newbie, but it didn't take long for you to come back and verify it again. Chu Sensio rolled his eyes, then gritted his teeth and turned to ask Rong Ci, since he has been discharged from the hospital, shouldn't my beating him be considered beating a sick patient? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 769. Chapter 769. I want to sign a contract with your company. Not really, but Chen Yi has been doing rehabilitation exercises and working out recently, so you'd better not provoke him by overestimating your capabilities. Rong Ci said half-jokingly. Chu Sensio looked at Jun Chennai doubtfully, and Jun Chennai proudly showed off his biceps. Chu Sensio looked at the strong muscles and touched his thin body. After weighing it in his mind, he decided to forget it. It was important to save his life. Hey, Xia Ying, did your allure miracle doctor have a miscarriage? Jun Chennai looked at Xia Ying as if he thought of something. Jun Chennai was originally the best choice for the male lead, but something like that happened. Later, another Qianyins came, but it was rumored that he had no acting talent at all. Now the choice of the male lead has not been decided, and netizens do not buy it. I feel that only Jun Chennai is the best candidate for the leading role, but it's a pity that Jun Chennai can't play the role. Because the producers couldn't find a suitable candidate, they kept putting it off, and it hasn't started production yet. I don't know, the male lead is undecided, and netizens don't buy it, so it hasn't been decided yet. Xia Ying felt helpless when she mentioned this. It was originally because of Ye Xiaoxun that she decided to play the heroine. Unfortunately, the choice of the male protagonist has become the biggest problem now. I heard that you signed a contract with Qianyins. Why is there no movement from him? Although Jun Chennai has retired from the entertainment industry, he has still been paying attention to entertainment trends. It's almost time. He will debut in a while, Xia Ying continued. I have already written the songs for him. When the time comes, I will shoot an MV and officially announce my debut. After Jun Chennai heard this, an imperceptible smile gradually appeared at the corner of his mouth. Hey, I heard that your company is short of people recently. Yes, there are a lot of newcomers who want to join, but not many are qualified. I am not very satisfied with the trainees recently recruited. Only Qianyin's future is still promising. Xia Ying said, sighing slightly. Then what do you think of me? Jun Chennai suddenly puffed up his chest and recommended himself. As soon as he said this, everyone stared at him in amazement. Rong Ci knew that Jun Chennai had plans to make music again, but what he didn't expect was that Jun Chennai actually wanted to sign with Xia Ying's company. It's not that Xia Ying's company is not good, but after all, he is the national male idol Jun Chennai. Starting from a new person, what a drop in price. Are you serious? Xia Ying blinked and looked at Jun Chennai in disbelief. Jun Chennai nodded with determination. Seriously, I want to start over, with a new name, not Jun Chennai, but a new person, step by step, climb up from the bottom. Jun Chennai pronounced every word with a strong accent, as if he was joking. It was obvious that he was determined. But, wouldn't this be too? Nothing to worry about. Jun Chennai waved his hand, and then joked, what's wrong, you don't believe in my ability? Of course not. Xia Ying quickly shook her head. Jun Chennai is a rare singer-songwriter. He is very good at writing lyrics and music. In addition, he has a naturally good voice. Signing with him is like finding a treasure. There is nothing to worry about. What Ying worried about was that Jun Chaniai's voice was so recognizable that he would be easily recognized even if he changed his identity. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 770. Chapter 770. A lock of hair. What's wrong? You don't look down on me. Jun Chaniai saw that Xia Ying didn't say anything for a long time, so he curled his lips, feeling quite unhappy. Of course not, Xia Ying quickly denied it. Jun Chaniai's strength naturally goes without saying, but that's not what Xia Ying is worried about. Then how do you explain it to your fans? Xia Ying continued. You don't want Jun Chaniai's identity, but what about your fans? Don't you want it too? Even if you start over, you still underestimated it? Your true fans, no matter how similar their voices are not the same. They can easily guess that person is yours. If it's easy to guess, the worst I can do is not sing a certain type of song. Jun Chaniai leaned back, as if he didn't think the problems Xia Ying mentioned were serious. Jun Chaniai, listen, you don't need to change your identity, you are still you, your face, everything about you will come back. Xia Ying stared at Jun Chaniai with firm eyes. Although Jun Chaniai couldn't accept it in his heart and felt that Xia Ying was just comforting him, Jun Chaniai was inexplicably moved by Xia Ying's look. Jun Chaniai frowned slightly, glanced in Rong Si's direction, and then said, Rong Si, I said the same thing, why are you all so confident? I'm really not a child anymore, and I can completely accept this reality. Of Xia Ying and Rong Si looked at each other and looked in the direction of Yu Lingfeng. Yu Lingfeng was suddenly stared at by so many pairs of eyes. He was drinking tea leisurely, but he silently raised his head and looked at Jun Chaniai. Well, it's not confidence, it's true. The smile on Rong Si's lips gradually widened. Jun Chaniai became more and more confused. What do you mean? Do you have some evil tricks? Yu Lingfeng almost choked when he took a sip of tea. You will know when the time comes. Rong Si's smile just now faded again. Now that Chen Yi has been discharged from the hospital, and he is wearing a mask, even if he has really recovered, there will be no doubts. Rong Si, I hope that Yu Lingfeng could cure Jun Chaniai as soon as possible. Not yet, not yet. Yu Lingfeng just slowly shook the teacup in his hand and said in a low voice. Rong Si was helpless. He didn't know what time Yu Lingfeng mentioned. At night, Rong Si took a shower and entered the room. When he opened the quilt and prepared to have a good sleep, he suddenly found something under the quilt that made his arm itchy. Rong Si reached out and grabbed it. Come here, it seems to be hair or something. Rong Si frowned and turned on the light. The moment he saw a strand of hair in his hand, he suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. Sometimes intuition can't explain things that are unclear. When Rong Si saw that strand of hair, his first reaction was that he thought of Suji. Rong Si's eyes were in a daze, and he got closer and smelled the fragrance of the hair. Then the next second, Rong Si's eyes turned red. Jun Chaniai didn't sleep well last night. He kept thinking about what Xia Ying and the others said yesterday. Is there really any way Yu Lingfeng can help him restore his appearance? This is real life, not some costumed martial arts drama or something like that, where you can get rid of scars with some ointment. Jun Chaniai rubbed his sleepy eyes and walked towards the living room. Xia Ying and the others had already gotten up and were now watching TV in the living room. End of this chapter.